how can we define human performance optimization in very simple terms?
Super simple. It's all about the human experience. We all have individual experiences as well as the collective experience, that you and I are having right now as a host and as a guest. But even bigger than that, 8 billion plus people on this planet, we're all interconnected. So the question is, how do we optimize our experience, whether that is our performance in the respective performance domain that we're in? It could be we're pilots, it could be we are parents, it could also be that we're helping individuals on a global level. So it doesn't matter necessarily what performance realm you're a part of. The fact of the matter is that you are human. How can we elevate the experience? How can we optimize the performance and make sure that we're doing so in a sustainable way such that we're focusing our efforts on a health and wellness perspective as well?
All right. All right. Thanks for that. Um, what are the key factors that actually contribute to human performance optimization? If we were to summarize these factors, can we imagine certain buckets or group of factors that are similar to each other?
Absolutely. And I like to break it down into a 3-part step-by-step process. So for starters, people that are interested in working with me, I always start at foundation, ground level, and that's what I reference as calibrate. So how do we calibrate the ABCs of human? And that would be awareness, breath, concentration. So first and foremost, how do we build awareness of what's happening both inside of our vehicle, our vessel, anatomically and physiologically speaking, as well as outside? What's going on in our environment, and how do those two things interplay? What's the interdependence? What's the relationship? We can do this by way of focusing our attention on a very grounding mechanism, and that would be our respiration cycles, inhalation, exhalation. So that would be breath. And that conduit helps us to concentrate. Now we can turn our attention and focus on exactly what we're interested in that present moment. So that's calibrate. How do we set the foundation? ABCs, awareness, breath, concentration. Then we take it to elevate. How do we now bring this up to the next level? And that would be referenced by the 5 elements of human, HUMAN. Hydrate, unplug, move, aspire, nourish. Those are the 5 elements. Those are the core facets of how we then elevate our experience. Drinking half of our body weight in terms of ounces per day of water. We're water-based creatures. Making sure we unplug, sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night of quality sleep. Move, ensuring that we have about 150 minutes of physical activity throughout the week. Notice I didn't talk too much about specific training modalities of resistance training or aerobic, anaerobic. Just let's move a little bit more and potentially be a little less physically inactive or sedentary. A would be aspire. How do we set up our aspirations, our inspirations, and our intentions for the day? The first thought of the day when we wake up really dictates the rest of our day. And then lastly, I kind of save the best for last in a way. That's nourish. What type of foods, what type of nutrients are we ingesting? Whether that's supplementation, minerals, vitamins, anything that we're putting into our system. How does that fuel or not fuel our battery? So that's step 2. That's elevate. And then lastly, the third part of the methodology would be sustain. How do we make sure that this is a sustainable way of living the human experience? And that's what I reference as micro, meso, macro. And I alluded to this a little bit in the intro. The choices I make individually, myself, that's micro. That's just me, number 1. Now, how does that affect the choices potentially you make if we're connected? And we are. And that's, then other people in the health and wellness industry or the podcast space, et cetera, starts to grow. And now that's meso. These are the small subsets and sub cohorts of humans. And then ultimately, how do those affect the grand scale of things, which would be macro? Again, 8.2 billion and change on this planet. That's a lot of micros. And I believe my vision is that once we each individually make a change for the better, we have an effect on the greater whole. And now we have a much better planet, a much better home.